All right, so we're still on blue belt material, and now we're going into the first pistol defense techniques, and these are going to be 1 through 5. Now, when we're working on pistol defense, first and foremost, we have to understand our distance. So if somebody's pulling a pistol on you, if it's at a far distance, there's not really much you can do, and you need to be closer than that distance of 2 arms. So if I'm at 2 arms length right here, this is way too far for me to be able to defend myself. So I'm going to have to use gesticulations and pull myself in. On the other end of it though, there's other factors that go into it. So before we get into the actual defense techniques, physical techniques, we have to understand that if somebody's trying to just get our wallet or just get money or our keys for our truck, we give it to them because those things are replaceable. They're not something that you want to fight for your life over, and you don't want to get shot over it. On the other end of it though, there's other key components, like say for instance somebody is intent on killing you and you have to go with your gut feeling, and there's some little bit of training that goes into it as well. Like when somebody stops breathing, they're talking to you, they're telling you all kinds of horrible things that they're going to do to you, and then they take that deep breath. That means you have to act at that moment because they're trying to get the gall to actually pull that trigger. On the other end of it though, is just understanding these techniques, because when you understand the techniques, you understand so much more about the pistol and how it works. Now, most people use a semi-automatic pistol. So the first 4 techniques, we're going to use a replica of a semi-automatic pistol. And so these wooden pistols are easy. You can get some of the more realistic ones from different suppliers, but either way, we work with that one for the first 4 techniques, and then we'll work with the revolver on the 5th technique, because the technique changes with the revolver, especially high caliber revolvers. The techniques will not work the way it does with the semi-automatic pistol. All right, so we're going into technique number 1, which is just anywhere on the body. Now the beauty of these techniques when he's putting on the body or the face or anywhere like this is, number 1, it works whether he's carrying it 2-handed in his right hand, if he's carrying it 1-handed in his right hand, if he's carrying it 1-handed in his left hand, 2-handed in his left hand, or if he's even carrying it like a cholo. Okay, so like this right here, or somewhat like a thug, it works all the same, and we'll show how those work. Now the first thing I have to do is I have to feign compliance. So I want to look scared. So it's, listen, sir, look, I don't want any issues, and I'm dropping my hands or dropping my shoulders, tucking my chin in and bringing my hands up. Now you don't want any sudden movements like this, because what happens is obviously it's going to cause him to pull the trigger. Both people have a lot of adrenaline going on, so just any sudden movement can cause that trigger squeeze. You don't want that. So you want to be somewhat careful with this, but on the same note, you want to use gesticulation. So it's, listen, sir, I got a wife, I have kids, please don't. And then at this moment, we're doing the technique. But when we're doing this technique, I'm going to show you what we're doing. So first and foremost, we move our body in and off to the side as we're getting the pistol off of the line of our body. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my non-dominant hand, which for me when I practice is my left hand. On his left side is still going to be my left hand. And all I'm doing is taking my hand and grabbing right here along the slide to the trigger well, all the way around as tight as I possibly can, and pushing it offline and to him as I'm stepping in and offline this way. And I want to take my thumb, the webbing of my thumb, and push as hard as I can and grab as hard as I can. Now you don't want to try to just reach like this. You want to push forward, because what that reach does, if I just do it like this, is it'll always slip. But when I push forward, even when he pulls backwards, because there is retraction, that means he will pull back. When he retracts, it still gives me the ability to get that grip and not slide off of the pistol. The second thing I'm doing as I'm getting offline here is I'm taking this hand and I am just doing a knife hand chop, but not with just my hand, with my forearm from this line all the way down, any part of that line on my ulna side of my hand, and I'm rolling in towards where his thumb meets his wrist. Okay, and it doesn't have to be exact. It can be an approximation, because the idea is it should work on this side too, on the back side of the hand. So when I'm doing this, 1, and I'm pushing in, 2, this hand is chopping in. Now watch the chop, 1. Now what a big mistake that most people do is they try to grab and then what that does is it solidifies the grip of the weapon, and then it's a fight for the weapon. Now all I'm doing is getting myself offline, taking this hand over and under, under and over, and I'm chopping through, and I'm going to pull to my body as hard as I can. 1. Now notice that when I'm right here, I have the weapon pointed towards him, but at this point, if the weapon is fired, it is completely out of battery, meaning that a round has discharged, but there has been a failure to extract another round or two, failure to feed, failure to extract, and so what happens is there's no more cycling of a next round into this weapon, so it's basically a blunt force object at this time. From here, I will push him back if I have to. I'll push him with my hands back, and I'm going to step back, and I'm going to rack the weapon. I'm going to put it right onto his belly button right here, and I'm going to yell commands. Get back, stay down, listen, I don't want to kill you, and I'm going to have a lot of expletives to go with this to make sure that he knows what I want from him. On the other end of it, if you are in a situation where it's inside your home, there's kids around, you have more than just giving those commands. There's too much to do other than give those commands. You might have to just unload that magazine. But when we do this racking, so we do all of those techniques, 1, 2, which it should happen all at once, but I'll show you that in speed. When I do this rack here, it also lets me know, because this is a big question, was there ever a round in the chamber? Were there any rounds in the magazine? I will know quite a bit about this weapon by this rack, because I can feel a round actually being loaded. I can see and feel a round extracting, the expended round extracting. I can see and feel the weight of the weapon and kind of tell what's in it. So it's an approximation again, but I can tell all those things just by getting that rack and feeling the weapon before I ever get to this position right here. Now, if you can see this really, really quick, just so that way we don't make this mistake, don't take your thumb and put it over here. Don't take your thumbs and put it over here. Keep your thumb underneath this line right here on this hand. This is a gripping hand. Take this thumb and keep it underneath this line as well, because there are low action weapons, there's high action weapons. If you don't practice this and you have to end up doing a technique, you bite yourself and all of a sudden drop that weapon, now it's a free-for-all for that weapon. So you have to make sure that you have a good placement with your hands too. So we're doing it on this side so that way you can see. For stone number 1, I know it's a lot of detail because there is a lot of detail goes into this. Now understand this, there is no ability for the bullet to shoot out this way or out this way. There's going to be an extraction that's going to happen here. So the empty shell is going to extract out here, but if I can stop that right away and pull this line off of me, then I'm not going to have an empty shell extracting. I'm not going to have this shooting me. At the same time, I'm pushing it into him. So when I'm doing this one into him here, now I've taken the weapon out of battery as long as I have a decent hard grip. It doesn't take very much. Now as I do this hand, same thing. Look, listen, sir, look, I don't want any issues. It's my wife, it's my daughter. They're right here with me, please. And I do this motion. See how I stepped in, put my body forward. Now from here, I'm pulling it in, racking, getting him back, and I'm talking to him saying, listen, sir, or cussing at him and saying, get on the ground, get all the way on the ground, I'll kill you, so on and so forth, or I'm putting rounds into him. Those are the decisions you're going to have to make, but we have to practice this over and over and over again. So now let me show you with 2 hands really, really quick. So we're doing this one, it works, okay? We're doing left-handed so that way you can see. Look, I'm still using my left hand here, and it's same idea right here. 1, it still works. Single-handed, and let's say he's going, yeah, right there, that's fine. 1, it still works. We're still working our head offline. Let's do the cholo grab, and we'll do it off of the left hand too, just so that way you can see it. So it's 1, it still works. And that's the important thing. If you have to change your hands up as you're doing this, then the gun technique does not work, especially when it comes to your primary, your first one. So this first one's very important. So we're doing it at speed. Remember, you should always practice the dialogue too, because you have to know what you're going to say. So he's coming up and he's talking to me, yelling at me, saying, listen, sir, please, look, I got a daughter, I have kids, see I'm using gesticulations. Look, please don't kill me. Look, I'll do anything you want. Get on the ground, right now, hurry up, get on the ground. Spread your arms out, all the way out, good, turn those palms up, all the way up. Now hold them there, cross your legs, cross them. Now get them all the way up to your butt. I don't want to kill you, but I will. Now don't you move, hold right there. And you can see, maybe I get compliance, maybe I don't, but I'm yelling at him, telling him what I want to happen. And I'm also adjusting my body to where I can see his whole body, and I'm keeping that weapon trained on him because that gives me the ability to get somebody to call 911 for me, or if I have to, I can do it. On the other end of it, I'm making sure that I'm safe, and then if I have to, we can use the rounds that are inside the weapon for lethal force. Anyway, that is technique number one. You need to make sure that you go through each one of the steps of understanding your distancing, understanding the ego part of it, meaning that you don't have to show who has a bigger ego, who's stronger, or anything like that. If it's just your money, it's just your wallet, give it to them, okay? If they're just trying to intimidate you, look intimidated. On the other end of it though, if you feel like there are a threat that they are going to shoot you, or they could possibly kill you, your wife, your kids, or somebody else, then act, and act quickly, and make sure it's very, very decisive. Anyway, that's technique number one. Thank you very much.